Hello, my garden and YouTube and vermiculture friends. I'm making just a quick video, I hope, and I wanted to show you. This is I've had this blue tub for not years, decades, and I think it's probably 30, 40 years old. But anyway, I use it for just about everything. And today's project is that about a month ago, I think, was the last time I cleaned out the worm bin, my can of worms. And so you guys have watched me do it, and I usually get all my castings into these nice little Folgers cans that they come in. They're a really decent size. We're big coffee drinkers here. So anyway, and I saved them. And so I had worm castings. And the way I used to do it was that I would take the worm castings, and of course my bins are wet. They are very, very moist. The only thing that really goes into them are coffee grounds, banana peels, strawberry tops, a few other, refuge, things that I'm throwing away in the from the refrigerator, but we're pretty concise on the way we buy and we cook and we eat. So other than coffee grounds and the banana peel and the strawberry tops, we use eggshells that are pulverized as their grit, because worms don't have they don't actually have a gizzard. They don't actually have teeth, so they have to use like a bird uses grit to roll things around in its stomach so that it digests it. Well, the worm does basically the same thing, and at least that's what I know. And I'm not a biologist. I wish I were. And this would make so much more sense, other than just I've been doing it for 12 years and it's worked, and I don't really ask that many questions. But now that I'm really doing a lot more of this on YouTube and following a lot of other people, and I'm learning. It's just wonderful. So here I have my castings. They're like I said, they're about a month old. And the way I used to do it was I would take just a spadeful, something like this, and I would put it in my my watering can, and I actually take the sprinkler end off of it, because this won't, even if with rainwater in it and dissolving it, it gets kind of clogged up. But and that's the way I would use it. And if I ran across a worm somewhere, well, then I would hurry back into the house and bring it. And, oops, I dropped something, sorry. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try and use these, and let me just claw through here and go through and see if I see any of these bad boys. Oh, there's one. And we're just going to stick them in here for a moment. There, sit there quietly, don't make any noise. And let's see if he's got any little other brothers and sisters, husbands, wives, any and or all of the above. And number 2. Oops. Hard to see whether it's actually a worm or just kind of a leaf that hasn't totally broken down. I made a comment to someone that here I am, 71 and a half. That isn't, no, that's not an egg. And I grew up with a mother who always said, oh, go out and play and stay clean. And so there was no playing in the dirt with the worms. I came in once with an ant, and I thought she was going to faint. I'm getting these odd little things in here. They're not really, it's not a cocoon, but it feels very hard and very crisp. If anybody knows what that is, I'd love to know. Oops, sorry. You see this? See what I'm talking about? Oops, there's another one. Number 3. Oops. I think I pinched him. I gave you a little pinch. Sorry. We're not really seeing much in the way of cocoons in this, and I thought I might. I'm running out of light over here. You can see there's still a few pieces that haven't quite been broken down. Yeah, my shredded cardboard. No, I don't know what that is. I don't know. Whatever it is, it feels creepy. Number 4. Number 4? Where were you? Where did you just drop to? Well, number 4? Yeah, I think that was number 4. And so what I'm going to do now is I will try and scoop this up and put it back in here. That's not going to work very well, is it? Yeah, I think they should have a YouTube class on how to do things one-handed. And I'm not going to throw this out in the garden quite yet. Although, like I've told you, I'm finding wigglers in other places, and I didn't think that they would make it. So let's try this one. And see if we've got anybody hiding or trying to survive. Nope. Just a piece. And just something trying to grow in here. Beautiful though, isn't it? I mean, I love whenever I take the castings out, and you've seen me how I scrape off the top very gently. When they go out in the garden like this, they just melt down like butter. I don't think I see anybody in this one. I'm not really seeing a casting. Pretty one, isn't it? Now that I'm getting used to seeing these castings, it's like, oh my goodness, look, a casting, a casting. Quick, everybody. Right over and go rah, rah, rah. And I think, well, how did they get left in there? And gosh, did I do that? I mean, isn't that beautiful? Isn't that how wonderful for a garden? There's another casting. And I think some of these, I'm curious, does anybody know this? Do the castings, when they, I'm sorry, I keep saying castings, I mean cocoon. When the worm first lays its cocoon, is it a certain size that is, you know, tiny, and then as it matures, you know, kind of like somebody pregnant is not the size of a 9-month pregnant woman at the onset. So, you know, what size are they laid? Let's see what we got in this third one. See if there's anything in here. I tend to think not. This one's pretty wet. I guess my point was that I now do this barehanded. 11 years ago, 12 years ago, 2009, when I first went to buy a worm bin, I said to the man who was going to sell it to me, if you put a worm in my hand and I don't faint, I will buy the system from you. And he just looked at me like I was, you know, like some she woman who was going to scream and run, and he was going to have a lawsuit on his hands. He wasn't sure he wanted to do it, and I said, I'm 60 plus years old, and I have never touched a worm, and on purpose. I mean, if it touched me out in the garden and I just and would back off and run the other way and go back, and I mean, I've been a gardener for 50 years, so you know, it's just amazing that I can do this now. And I always worked with my bare hands, and I'd get spider bites, and I never got poison ivy, but I get all kinds of bites and what have you. Still do. I mean, my hands are pretty chopped up, and I was a florist for many years, and hands are pretty chopped up. Like I said, they're pretty worn out. And but now whenever I get a worm in my hand, I think, oh, isn't that the most wonderful feel? I mean, you tell me, when you have a worm in your hand, or a whole group of them that you've been collecting, don't you think, oh, isn't that wonderful? I mean, it's such it's like a little life tickle. And here I have 3 little worms, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take them over here to I showed you the Meals on Wheels, and I'm going to, I know I have food and stuff for them over here, was where I had it before, and so I'm just going to make a little spot for them. Look at that. I came out before and I checked the temperature, and it was about 50 degrees, and I thought, boy, they're not going to be too lively, but that little guy is, and just gave me a little wiggle. And so here's my next little group of guys and gals. Oops, come here, little guy. Along with picking up worms and not thinking that it's a creepy situation, and wanting to give them a the best life that I possibly can, and having that care factor. You know, who'da thunk, huh? There. And so we've patted them down, we've wished them well, and we're going to hope that just like the 4 that turned into 8 and 16 and 32 and 100, that those 2 or 3 will go off their merry way and reproduce for me. I guess I could add the castings here into my Meals on Wheels and really make it a worm haven. But I think I need to clean up my backyard and get some compost down so that I can start. Oops, almost thought I saw someone. So that I can, start with getting some plants going and getting some crops growing, because here in Florida, we can grow year-round. So if you're in Florida and you've got some seeds or you've got some plants, the old make hay while the sun shines, believe me, this is when you want to start getting your stuff in the ground. This is a great time to grow things in Florida. So anyway, I'm sorry that ended up taking so long, but I just wanted to give that a chance and see if maybe I had more than just those 3 or 4 little worms that were in my castings. And I think we had a few cocoons in there too, didn't we? So take care, everyone. Happy vermicomposting. I hope everyone tries this. It's a fun thing to do. And hopefully in 2022 we will see a great explosion of people wanting to do this, because it sure is, pushing against the tide of I hate to say it, global warming, but it really is bringing things back to an even keel. So take care, garden what you've got, and by that I mean whatever you have. If you can't find the original use for it, try something else. Try to find another purpose for it. And I hope that everyone is having a great Christmas season, and I hope to see you all back real soon. Take care. Bye-bye.